Pacelli and Boomer, they're grizzled and gray, talking about Star Wars from back in the day. Got a talk show called Geeky Geezers, it's true, spinning old tales about the stuff they went through. From Atari to Trek, they know every line. Geeky Geezers, man, they're feeling just fine. Pacelli's got a lightsaber, swings it with pride. Boomer's got a game but plays it deep in the night. They're ranting about He-Man and old X-Men too. On Geeky Geezers, they're the nerdiest crew, talking Transformers toys that twist and they turn, singing blues for the geek life, their hearts still burn. Oh, Geeky Geezers, they're living the dream, talking comics and movies, they're busting the seams. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky Geezers with hearts made of gold. They're sitting in the studio, mics turned up loud, reminiscing about Super Friends, feeling so proud. Pacelli loves Spider-Man, Boomer's for Hulk. They argue about Star Trek with passion and both. From Betamax tapes to their old D20s, Geeky Geezers where the nostalgia flows. They got fans in the chat, from the young to the old, tuning in to hear stories that never get cold. Talking Ghostbusters, proton packs, toys in the box, and Saturday mornings with cartoons that rocks. Pacelli and Boomer, they're keeping it real. Geeky Geezers with that old school feel. Oh, Geeky Geezers, they're living the dream, talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky Geezers with hearts made of gold. They're singing the blues for the games that they play, for the VHS tapes and the arcades that pray. But the spirits are young, though their hair's turning white. Geeky Geezers keep the nerd fire alight, so tune in each week to the Geeky Geezers show, where Pacelli and Boomer let the good times flow. From X-Files to X-Men, they're dropping the news, singing praises of geek life with them old blues. Pacelli and Boomer, forever they'll be Geeky Geezers living wild and free.
Here we go. We're live.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my YouTube channel. Hi, everybody.
You do this all the time. You're looking in the wrong place.
I was saying, I was seeing it was in the chat, making sure I said hi, but hello, everyone, again. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, Pacelli.
Hello, hello.
And this is, of course, we have our Geezette, Netter of Netters Network. Welcome.
Good evening.
And Memorial Day weekend, so I hope you guys have a good holiday tomorrow. Just let's not forget why we have that holiday to begin with, right? So, yeah.
I'm old enough to remember that I used to have a better memory.
Anyway, I got the Marvel Maximum collection.
What is that?
That includes some old Marvel video games, and it had the X-Men arcade game.
Oh, nice.
And when you go up to the, and I guess you couldn't hear these guys in the arcade. When you go up to the bosses, this one goes, "I'm Pyro, and I'll turn you into toast." Like he says that when you go.
Wow.
And the blob, "No one can move the blob." That's the other guy comes out, and you could play as Dazzler, Nightcrawler, Storm, Wolverine.
By the way,
obviously.
that's Disco Dazzler to you.
They had to change her name. You know what happened with Dazzler?
Because Disco was on the way out.
As soon as they introduced her, it's like everyone was hating on Disco. They didn't know what to do. It was this big disaster. Also included in the collection is Captain America and the Avengers arcade game.
There you go.
Do you remember that from back in the day, where you can play as Captain America, Iron Man, Vision, or Hawkeye. And you have to fight the Red Skull and his evil army. That
makes sense. That makes perfect sense. You know, they say that when a trend is over, you know it's over because they make a superhero of it. That happened with Disco. It happened with Vibe from the Justice League. When you knew that breakdancing was over when they introduced Vibe.
Darn it.
Yep.
Oh, well. Let's see. Chat is now open to everybody. Oh, yeah. Well, welcome, everybody, to our humble show here. We have some zombie-related news tonight.
Quite a bit. Like, this is like half the show.
Yeah. So let me see. Oh, of course, Netter, become a member for 7 cents a day. And you get some perks like being able to watch Devil Dog, Hound from Hell last week.
Exactly right. Exactly
You
right.
still having nightmares from that? It's okay if you don't. If you can play strong and say you didn't. It's okay.
I mean, if I'm having nightmares, it's probably the same ones that some people are having about Mandalorian right now. How good it could have been. There was implied story there that they never really focused on.
Well, they probably needed a season to develop it.
Oh yeah, exactly,
Anyway,
exactly right.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Have a
no, I think with Devil Dog they needed a rated R theatrical release that could have delved into some plot points that probably wouldn't be allowed on syndicated television back then.
Probably not. No. I bet that script exists somewhere though.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's internet rules about that too. So
Have a great show, my geezer friends. Happy Memorial Day tomorrow. Thank you, Big Al. Thank you. And let's see here. Let's scroll down. JPRPH1, welcome.
howdy.
Let's see. Tired Midnight Blogger, welcome. Depensec, welcome. Wallace Lang, welcome. Big Al, always good to see you. I think I already said hi. Geek Flag with Nate Knows, welcome. Enigma Severus. Looks like we got ourselves some Geeky Geezers. Yes, we do. Daniel
Absolutely.
Berry Sports Highlights, welcome. A lot of graduation speeches lately.
Wait a minute. The zombie wears Prada. The zombie bunch. Look, we're gonna get into it because we're running out of Living Dead titles.
Don't give them ideas, man.
I know, right?
I'm telling you, man. It's like my idea for the All Creatures Great and Small series.
I actually want to see this one. I dream of zombie.
Yes. Because All Creatures Great and Small is a big popular British show right now, right? It's based on the James Herriot book. And my idea was All Creatures Great and Small plus murder. And the idea was there'd be a murder in the town, there'd be an animal witness, and James Herriot would have to use his amateur sleuthing skills to get the dog or the horse or whatever to, figure out a way to point him in the right direction of who the suspect is, right?
Kind of combining two genres, but we've done it before successfully.
And the local detective on the PD, just stick to your animals, Harriet.
Yeah.
Leave the police work to the police, that sort of thing. Come on.
If I left the police work to the police, there'd be no police work getting done.
That's basically how it is on a lot of these British shows. Like almost every British show I see is a murder mystery. That's why I said, what's with All Creatures Great and Small? There's no murder. It's like,
right?
It's just it's
well, I mean, and they could totally take a cue from what Murder She Wrote. I mean, that's basically Murder She Wrote, right?
Exactly. Enigma Severus, welcome.
Or I guess the better one would be what's the one with Dick Van Dyke?
Diagnosis Murder.
Diagnosis Murder. Yeah, exactly. All Creatures Great in Murder, I guess.
All Creatures Great and Murder. That's even better. Yeah, just it's even better title. I'm telling you, it's like Grantchester, which is they want to be doing a period piece about an Anglican priest in his town in Cambridge during the 1960s, but they can't do that.
Right.
There has to be a murder each episode, so they always have to have murder instead of it just being about the locals dealing with these tumultuous changing times, because it's the 60s. It's just
I just once I want one of these serialized shows where there's a murder every week for somebody in it to say, have you noticed how many murders we have in this town? It seems like it's happening frickin' every week.
Well, yeah, I brought that up to an English gentleman that was on Birdman Street once. I brought up Midsummer Murders. It's like, does that county really exist? Says, no, that county doesn't this, but if it did, it would have the highest murder rate of anywhere in all of England.
That's exactly right. Even AI can figure that out.
Agent Boomer is hurting your Sherlock Tuesday night. Laugh out loud. What is that? Oh, I see. Because of the James Herriot, All Creatures Great and Small plus Murder. Right. Yes. I'm telling you.
And that was the connection I was going to make, because it's like, you're right. It does seem like the Brits can't get past Sherlock Holmes. They just keep turning Sherlock Holmes into other it and updating it.
Yes, basically. Yes. What was the most ridiculous one? There's Friday Fisher.
Interior designer as a amateur sleuth.
I suppose so. I mean, sometimes they actually have it be the police constable who's trying to solve the crime. Like, of course, this is a New Zealand series of Brokenwood Mysteries. It's an actual team of
I
police
actually would
officers.
like to see a different take on the concept of Murder, She Wrote. A crime author that does like comedic writing, over the top type parodies. And so when they could come to consult, they come up with the most outlandish things, fully expecting he's completely wrong. And then it turns out he's right. And he's like, the heck?
Oh, that's funny.
Wouldn't
You
that
know
be cool?
what you said just reminded me. Magpie Murders. That is about a literary editor, like sorry, a book editor, who is trying to solve the murder of her author. Do you understand? Like
Oh, I
who also
see.
wrote mysteries.
Gotcha.
Do you understand?
Gotcha,
So
gotcha. Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess that's sort of like Murder She Wrote in a way, except it's from an editor's perspective rather than a writer's. But yeah,
Sure.
even Doctor House with Sherlock, just medically, you're right about that, Enigma Severus.
Yeah, and I mean, it's even in the name, right? Sherlock Holmes, Dr. House.
Yes.
You
That
know?
kind of went over my head the first season. Then I realized, oh, that's Holmes and Wilson's
Yeah.
Watson. Oh, okay.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
So, so who were the other characters? Was there an Irene Adler on a substitute on the show?
I don't know. Maybe she'd be Cuddy. I
Maybe.
don't know.
All right. You want to bring up the presentation? Let's just get this over with. Let's just get it over with. That's a quote from a certain movie, which we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
from the remake of that movie. But let's just get into it because for those of you not in the know who've not heard of this movie, Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. What is that? I've never heard of it.
Very funny. I remember you did a rewatch of it the first week
I
during
did.
the certain pandemic where it was just going to be 2 weeks to stop the spread,
I
and
did.
and that was the. I remember. This was before I was actually streaming myself. I was listening to you, Big Al, and Netter talk about this movie. Remember that?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And this, of course, is the cover for a VHS copy that I found myself as a kid. I think at the local Kmart, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
And I don't know if it was cheap. Was it $10 or $5? It was something not
It was
horribly
it was
expensive.
overpriced because I can tell you that this particular edition was. You can't even call it a bootleg because it had fallen into public domain, however briefly, on a technicality. So there was
Yes.
a lot of people putting out their own copies of Night of the Living Dead, and it was perfectly legal to do. In a way, though, that's kind of what spread its popularity. It probably would not have been as popular as it is. It wouldn't have the cult following
No.
it did if it
Maybe
wasn't so
not.
ubiquitous.
It's always
Yeah.
weird. Like wonder if there's this weird alternate timeline where whoever did sent it to the lab had put the print they were supposed to have on the movie. Would it have been
Yeah.
the hit as it was? I don't
And
know.
yeah, and in fact, you wouldn't have you wouldn't have The Walking Dead, you wouldn't have
Yep.
any of these other Resident Evil, you wouldn't have any of that stuff.
Yep.
You see a lot of these movies do this idea that they are in a world that this never happened. So when a zombie outbreak happens, they don't have the word zombie.
That's
The
true.
walkers or the dead or the deadites, they don't have a word for zombie because they didn't have this movie in their universe.
The
Exactly.
unalivers.
Yeah, the
Or
unalive.
unalived.
Yeah, exactly.
Night of the Living Dead was the first movie that scared me as a scared by as a child. I had no business watching it because I was only 9, but it scared the ooh out of you. Okay, well,
Well, and think about you go back and watch it now. If you watched it as an adult, there's a creep factor to it, mostly because it's in black and white and the pacing. It's got a very 60s-ish pacing to it. That lends to the creep factor. But when you just get into the content of it, not that scary. Which you can kind of see from all the damn remakes they've done.
I have several copies. How many copies of Night of the Living Dead have I bought in my lifetime? There was this VHS. There was another VHS that was an official version that got released. That had some special features on it. There was the original DVD, one of my first DVDs I ever bought, because I'm getting a DVD player. One of the first movies I was going to get was going to be Night of the Living Dead, so I get those audio commentaries. I bought it again on DVD because it had a special track with like an interview with Dwayne Jones on it, who played Ben. I got it on Blu-ray. I guess that's not as many as I thought. Okay. It's only
Well,
five.
and these are all the very same movie. This doesn't even count the multiple versions of it that are out there.
We're going to get into those in a few minutes. But this was the one I grew up with. I think I'd watched Day of the Dead first. I think that was my first Living Dead movie, and because I got that out from the public library.
Okay.
They used to have VHS tapes at public libraries, and because I was at the public library with my mom, and they had these big binders there, and I was like, "Hey, can I want this movie?" And my mom got it for me. Like, I had no business watching that movie at whatever age I was. I'm like, I always saw that. I always saw that like in the mom and pop video stores, and looked at the back of people's like faces getting clawed at. I'm like, wow, that looks pretty grody. But I did get it out from the library.
My mom was pretty good about, I could see just about anything I wanted as long as it didn't come from that room that's curtained off in the back.
I know the room you're talking about. But Night of the Living Dead, this is the Criterion edition that came out most recently. This is probably the best version you can get of this particular movie. I do like the artwork they use. I think that'd be cool if they release it as a poster. But we have Mr. Cooper there in the background, and Barbara, and you see all those hands, and Ben, of course, in the middle with the shotgun.
And what's great here is those three characters. I don't know if you could consider, who you would consider to be main character. Obviously, Ben is the main character.
I consider him for the original, yes.
But I would say that those two supporting characters there are so iconic because they have become tropes.
Yes.
Right? So you have your heroic character, that's a trope for literally everything. But Barbara being the checked out damsel in distress, only survives because of the hero. And then you got Mr. Cooper, who is the moron who gets everybody killed because he's a selfish idiot who doesn't, think through what he's doing.
So now I have to. I don't want to defend Cooper because he's a jerk. Okay, but his argument was the cellar's the safest place, and even though I understood Ben's argument against it, turned out the cellar actually was the safest place. That's really the irony.
Not really, because if it had extended out past one night, what were they gonna do? They're trapped. And they can never come out. They will eventually starve to death, and then one of them is going to turn into a zombie.
Look at those zombies, huh? I think this is one of the morning shots from the next day.
One of the interesting things about this is, well, first, talk about composition here. That one in the middle, that sets the trope, or whatever you'd call it, for the grudge and everything that comes after that.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
Especially with the black and white in a field and all that kind of stuff.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right. I'm sure a lot of stuff got inspired by this. Yeah.
But also, when you think about a zombie outbreak, you have an idea in your head about zombies. And what's interesting here is you see all different people in different stages of dress and whatnot because they died in different ways. This one here in the front left may have come from a hospital, died in a hospital.
Yep.
The one farther to the left, a housewife who was probably, cooking dinner or something like that.
Yeah.
Guy right of center, maybe coming home from work. Looks like in the far back right there, you got a guy who's barely dressed. He, was in the middle of dressing or something like that. I know that at some points, when you see the backs of people, their clothes are all cut down the back. That means they came from a mortuary.
Yep, that happens in the remake, which we'll talk about for a little bit.
Yep.
But this was the original though. I remember getting it as a kid. This is a creepy movie. In fact, oddly enough, the first scenes I saw of this movie weren't the actual movie itself. I got this video out from Hallmark because we used to have a Hallmark store in our area, or the place was called O Johnny's, but they had like a Hallmark part of their store, what do I want to call it, a drugstore or a card store, whatever. It's where I got my gaming magazines. But they had candy there, but they also had a big Hallmark section. I remember around Halloween time they would put out Hallmark like tapes, and this one had all trailers on it, or like scenes from movies, and it was hosted by Vincent Price, and he was talking about all these classic horror movies. And one of them was Night of the Living Dead. I think another one was Day of the Triffids. That was another one on there. And I'm watching this because I of course was into horror movies, and I'm trying to find out. And for some reason I was against this movie until I finally got around to watching it, because I was more about classic horror movies. And in my defense, Night of the Living Dead, I could argue, was the first of the real modern horror movies that kind of gave way to all the stuff we got in the 70s and 80s.
I think you have a point there, yeah.
I think Joe Bob Briggs called it the modern horror movies born. I think Texas Chainsaw comes out a couple years after this, so.
Yeah.
But very classic looking movie, though, even though it's black and white. There's our main
this guy has become an iconic, look for a zombie. In fact, Mego, one of the related companies to Mego did an action figure of him. Wallace Lang, echoing what you were saying, during the time I was a child in the 1960s, our local TV station showed old movies on Sunday afternoon. Some were even monster movies such as Frankenstein and Dracula. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's how you catch movies. Unfortunately for me, it was very hard for me to catch the old Universals. Now, I got lucky. I got to see The Mummy. I think I eventually got to see Dracula, and I got to see Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. I would have loved to have seen the follow-ups. That was the ones I was having trouble. Like, I wanted to watch the Karras Mummy movies, like The Mummy's Hand and things like that. Those weren't readily available. I don't think I caught The Wolfman till a long time later too. But you'd watch what was available. That's what you're stuck with. This is
why we preach about owning physical media, but that's also because we came from a time before physical media and the difficulty of getting to see the things we wanted to see. And then when you get some Criterion release or something, you'd be so thankful, because this is it. This is everything that I was looking for,
I mean, even if you go down to your local mom and pop video store, they might not have the old Universal Mummy movie. They might have something more modern on the shelf, because they probably figure who's going to want to watch the old movie. Or if they have older horror movies, they're going to be the mainstays, like the prime ones in those series.
Right.
But let's see here, though. We have... There's Ben, played by Dwayne Jones, who his casting was interesting. George Romero did not initially write this character to be a black character, but he was going to be the main character. When they had all the actors read in the casting call, Dwayne Jones was the best actor. And he says, we're going to cast him in the lead. Yeah, so, and, they were not, judging anyone by their background or anything. And it's kind of neat. You have this iconic... This
black character.
He's iconic black character.
If you were to recast that character now as a white person, people would get mad, rightly so.
Yes.
Because now it is established that he is black. That character exists.
Just like you have to have what is it, Harry Cooper right here. Oh man.
God. Mr.
Cooper. You don't like him, do you?
No, I really, really don't.
Well, you know why you don't like him from the get-go, because he's like, we heard that girl screaming, and there could have been more of those things up here. And he's like, oh, you weren't about to risk your neck. And then he says, well, there could have been anything up here. We didn't know. There could have been more of those things. But at first you said you thought you heard a girl screaming. Now you're saying you think it was those things. Can you get your story straight? And then finally the other guy, the younger guy with him, basically says, I think, who was it? Tom. He basically says, Tom says, look, you know what? We were just scared. Okay, that's why we didn't come up. All right, that's what it was. Okay, he just admitted, we should have. He basically admits, and Ben's fine with that, because at least he's being honest with him. Okay, but Cooper's the one being real defensive.
Right.
Yes. And we have, I don't know, and of course there's the TV where they're watching the TV trying to find out what's going on, and nobody really knows what's going on. There's hint that it was this probe from Venus that landed, came back with radiation, but nobody knows. Like, they're trying to talk to the NASA people. He got some good shots here where George Romero, the director of this, must have gone around to Washington, D.C., because you see the Capitol building in the background while they're trying to interview guys that look like, like generals or whatnot, But no, I mean, this is a great classic movie. It looks great. This was shot on 35 millimeter. A lot of unfortunately, George Romero made a point that because the prints of this movie, anyone could make themselves a copy, so a lot of the prints that circulated were not good. This was a 35 millimeter movie. It looks a lot. It wasn't some cheap 60 millimeter movie. This was. He used good film stock when he made this movie.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Oh, here we go. Wait a minute. You probably know about this one.
Return of the Living Dead establishes a hilarious meta premise. The characters explicitly state that the 1968 movie of Night of the Living Dead was actually based on a true story. They explain that the filmmakers had to change the details because the government threatened to sue them.
You know what was funny? And that's funny in that movie where he explains it. Typical government F up, you know, where like
Yeah.
all the like the chemical spill and all the corpses started switching around. But of course, Return of the Living Dead. We'll get in. That's a whole nother. We may have to do a whole stream on
I know.
the different things. But here we go. We got. That's another great shot. That's probably where the VHS was taken from at night. And the night shots are really great in this. And there's an impending sense of dread in this because they're trying to board up the house. But they want to keep at least a door so they can escape and run out if they have to, which I understand.
Because that's point. Tactically sound, yes.
Yes. And Cooper's like, no, the cellar is the safest place. Nobody likes Mr. Cooper. Yeah, this is the big disaster that happens because they can't get into the gas pump. That's another big thing in this movie. We can't find the keys to the gas pump because they want to. Because the idea is, well, maybe we should just get out of here. Trouble is. A couple cars crashed. Ben's car is running on fumes. He wasn't able to fill up because of the disaster that was happening when he was at the diner he was at. And he's so they're all there, and they're like, I don't want to go out there without filling up the tank because we could get stuck out there, and then we'll be in real trouble, right? So
right.
And there we go. I wonder if in a zombie apocalypse, do you stop for the red light?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I would use basic end of the world logic. You can't trust anything anymore, so use your brain. Look around. Is there another car coming? No, it's probably safe to go.
All right. There we go. And of course, the things start. Those hands, the boards. That's iconic. You see that in Resident Evil games, where like you're walking down a boarded up window in the police station, and you're running down the hallway, and then smash the glass, and they start reaching for you through the glass, and I freak out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they break through the windows entirely and get into the building, you know, and you have to shoot them. It's just not good. In fact, I think in the Resident Evil 2 remake, you could actually find boards to board up the window with. Is that interesting, huh?
That does make sense. Yeah, exactly.
All right. We of course got anything left to say about the original before we head to the weird myriad.
Yes, I do because it's a good transition. You mentioned that the casting of Ben as a black actor was incidental. It was just they decided he was the best for it.
Yes.
There was no planned messaging or anything. However, the very ending has a distinctly implied messaging there. When Ben is shot, he is not a zombie. Spoiler for more than 50-year-old movie, and it is implied, although it's not explicit, that the good old boy's going out hunting zombies, which is something that would be a very American appropriate thing to do. It's also taking this as an opportunity to get rid of any people they don't like.
No, I don't see it, man. I'm going to have to argue with you on this. Sorry.
It doesn't really matter whether you see it or not. That has become a cultural touchstone.
Maybe if you're maybe a certain demographic social time did see it that way.
But it's also important because they changed the ending in the remake, which makes it absolutely not there, and I think hurts the benefit of having the discussion.
And now I have to defend the remake.
There's only one thing there's a couple things I like about the remake, but the best thing to say about the remake is because of the rights-related issues that we were talking about. George A. Romero kind of got screwed out of a lot of the money he should have gotten.
Everyone involved, I think, did.
But especially it was his thing. So it was in his best interest to remake it. Normally, I'd say don't remake it. It's a classic, blah blah blah. But I understand his desire to freaking make some money off of this thing that we're all enjoying, right? As a monetized YouTuber, I really understand that. So become a member if you're so inclined. Anyway, the point
For
is
7 cents a day.
exactly. The important point is that he redid it, but then he kind of did a George Lucas on it by changing a lot of things.
Well, to be fair, even though Romero wrote the remake, it was Tom Savini that directed it. This is how I look at this. I don't see this as I know what you're going to say. We're going to talk about the George Lucas thing in a minute because we have another one.
Let's also take a moment to say the recasting of Ben. They couldn't have chosen a better person.
I love Tony Todd in this. And
Rest in peace, Tony Todd. Worf's brother Kern.
Yeah.
The Candyman. For you Chicago horror fans. Yeah.
Yeah, big, great actor. What I like about him as Ben, because of course this is how I'm gonna read this movie, and you can say if I'm right. Remember the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where the Groundhog Day episode, where the Enterprise keeps blowing up over and over again, and then they have to relive it all over again, and Data finally starts noticing patterns. I think this is a cause and effect. I think that on some weird subliminal level, all the characters know, not in their conscious mind, but maybe on a subliminal, that they've been through this before.
That's an interesting take. I'm going to need explanation on that because I'm not.
I'll explain why. There's a scene where Mr. Cooper shows up and Ben's there, and he goes, I haven't known you for very long, but I can already tell I don't like you very much or something, so you stay in place. And
okay.
There's that line there. Barbara seems more aware in this one than she was in the original, I know.
Well, she's literally rewritten, yeah.
I would argue that this...
By the way, though, Patricia Tallman, let's just say Patricia Tallman is another great casting. I think she's wonderful. I don't like what they did with the character, but if they were going to do that, she was perfect for it.
Here's how I see it. I see it as this movie, even though it is a remake, it is taking place in the 90s, so I think women had a little more agency in the 90s. I also see it as Barbara was in shock in the original movie. I think she snaps out of her shock in this movie.
Yes.
I know Ben, because you see her in the scene.
And then she goes all Sigourney Weaver, rips off the sleeves and all that. Yeah.
I think she's just had it. I think she makes some interesting arguments. This is where I'm almost getting this thing. Like, we've been through this before. I love the fact that Harry is worse in this version than the original, if that was possible. Yeah. They made him worse.
Which... Now that you say it that way, I would love there to be some sort of explanation for why that might be, because I love that interpretation. It certainly does nod to the fact that it is a remake, and it is acknowledging that the audience has already seen all this, and they should have some kind of feeling that they've been through this.
And they do change the ending with, because like what happens is things go slightly differently, and it throws characters off in other directions. I've noticed this.
Yeah.
One of the things that Barbara makes a point, and it's an interesting argument, I don't know if I necessarily buy it either, but she says they're so slow, we can run right past them. And to be fair, we do see people doing this in future Living Dead movies, but they're like, no. Ben doesn't want to listen to. Look. I know we're all trying to get through this. He's trying to be nicer, but he doesn't agree with that idea. I'm not saying Barbara's necessarily right in this remake. That maybe boarding up the house is the best thing, but it's I don't know. I still enjoyed it. Tom Savini made it. He directed it instead of George Romero, but George Romero, of course, was on the set and he wrote the screenplay. And it's an interesting experiment. I'll say that.
True.
Okay, that's how I look at it. And I know where you the ending thing is different, but I think this really does become Barbara's story more so than Ben's.
Yeah.
It's almost from her POV in this movie rather than Ben's. But she kind of gets revenge on her friend there because she liked Ben and doesn't like his outcome in this. I remember that.
Yes.
So
yes. Exactly.
I'm not going to say anything more because you should. And when
because if you haven't seen it or just didn't know about it, yes, welcome, Matt Inouye. There was a number of color versions of Night of the Living Dead. Quite a few, in fact.
I've never watched it colorized. What's the point?
No. Not just that. I mean remakes upon remakes.
Oh yeah. Well, there's this. Let's get into some others.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 30th anniversary edition.
Now, and I pointed her out in the previous walk through this movie. That's the girl in the center of that picture at the back in that field.
Is this
That's
Andy Warhol photo?
It does look kind of Andy Warhol, doesn't it? I think that was probably intentional.
It's kind of cool looking, though.
Isn't it? But I think that also lends itself to the creep factor. And that's why I said this is a very iconic... her and the other guy, zombie, are just iconic zombies.
Now, this is where, in addition to this being the fact that this almost became like a public domain movie because of the big screw up with the film lab, right?
Yep.
In addition to that happening, there was also the problem with the fact that this story is co-owned.
Yeah.
It's co-owned by George Romero and John Russo. And
Right.
I don't think there's animosity between these two, but basically they have the rights. If John Russo wants to make his own Living Dead movie, George Romero can't stop and vice versa. Do you understand?
And honestly, they kind of did. And you have two primary parallel series running from this same base movie.
Yes. I have mixed feelings about the 30th anniversary. That's when George Lucas did. Yeah, let's get into this. They rescored it, the original movie, and they added black and white scenes onto it with this weird... I think he's some kind of preacher or minister. I don't know. And I think he does this very... Like, they're burying this guy that liked to... hurt children. It's basically the main zombie. I guess he liked to hurt children, if you catch my drift. And they bury him, and then he's we only want vengeance. Then he comes out of the grave and attacks him. And I guess the whole thing is that at the end of the movie they do a post-mortem at the end of the movie with the same character being interviewed by the newspaper, and apparently he got bit, but he didn't turn into a zombie. And it's a miracle from the Lord, he says. And they make sure he holds on to a small dog whenever he goes out. So if he gets hungry, he'll eat the dog first, and then people will know, right? I'm just saying. It's just... And they were going to do a follow-up in this version. Go ahead.
I'm going to give, again, just like I did with the fact that I didn't like there being a remake, I will also give some points here because, again... You got something that's fallen into the public domain. You got to do something different with it to say, I want to make some money off of this thing. I'll add some scenes, and now you got to, Actually, there might be some of that going on with George Lucas, but that's just greed. That's not like he lost the rights to his original.
To be fair, I think he wanted to use this as a platform to do sequels, which I don't know if they were ever made. I didn't see it because I'm kind of a George Romero stickler. For a while I wouldn't watch zombie movies that weren't done by George Romero. I've since relented on that. I've watched a lot of Italian zombie movies. I've watched, Walking Dead, of course, which I guess has become the de facto Living Dead universe, even though it's technically not the Living Dead universe because it's its own thing. But anyway, let's see here though. But we had this come out. I didn't like the new score either. It bothered me. And what was funny was I used to have a double disc of this on DVD, and it came in one of these, the thicker double DVD cases that were the thick kind that you couldn't buy anywhere.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I got a Walt Disney Treasures case for Christmas, and the case was all busted up. And you know what I thought? You know what? I'm going to use the case from the Night Limited 30th anniversary to fix my Disney Treasures. So it had its use after all. I just couldn't get into it, but maybe that'll be something we look at. Okay. Do you know what this is?
I have it. Yes.
Have you seen it?
I tried watching it.
How bad is it?
It's the best I can say is it's weird. And we're also I don't know about when it came out in theaters. I'm guessing based on this promo poster that it was true 3D back then, but it for home video or home media, it's the like red blue type, which is not good.
Oh right, this was prior to the whole James Cameron. Well, even before James Cameron, you had a lot of the animated movies were doing the 3D thing, like Pixar's Up and thing. It wasn't the Okay, so this was more the gaudy, like I'm gonna throw the pitchfork into your eye sort of thing, right? You know,
Exactly.
like,
And it was a great effect in the theaters because it really did look like it was coming at you. I can't it to somebody who has never seen that kind of 3D, even the 3D that you see when you go to
Music
Disney
park.
or
Yeah.
to Universal, okay, and you put those glasses on, it's good, but it's not like these movies were. Where, like I said, Treasure of the Four Crowns, the guy's got a hot poker and points it right at you, and your eyes cross, and you see the smoke coming off right, like an inch away from your nose, and I swear, because it looks so real, you could almost feel the heat coming off of it. That's how realistic these effects were.
Well, they used to do that too at the parks, like Captain EO at Epcot Center was an early 3D thing too with Michael Jackson.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never got to see it, in its original production. I've only seen it since, in like basically in 2D. So
They should really restore it and put it back in there.
I know,
But
I know.
an all new dimension of the horror classic. Sid Haig is in this, I believe, who was in a lot of those Rob Zombie,
Yep,
not intended, movies.
exactly.
But which I don't think Rob Zombie has done an actual zombie movie, but I guess there's still time for him to do a version of Night of the Living Dead at some point.
Yeah.
I'm just again, I don't know if this was officially licensed out. I don't think it was because Romero was still alive at this time, so he wouldn't have given free reign unless John Russo did. But I don't think John Russo would have either. It could just be that they were able to use the title Night of the Living Dead 3D, and because they had 3D in the title, that basically made it their own thing. Because it has characters like stuck in a farmhouse, but it's not the characters from Night of the Living Dead, right? They're the original things.
Yeah.
And this guy, he was a mortician and didn't want to use the crematorium, so he just stuffed the bodies. And he said he also stuffed medical waste that he was supposed to throw in there, and I guess some chemicals got on the corpses, and that's what brings them to life. I was watching clips on YouTube because I was trying to. So you said you tried to watch this?
Yeah, and so I just while we were talking, I pulled out my box set. A lot of the regulars here know I like to make custom box sets of series like this. They take up less room, and I can do my own stuff. And I have my George Romero. This is what I called it: George Romero's Box of the Dead. And I've got for the picture on the front. It's a picture of George. It's a promo shot you've seen probably before. George Romero surrounded by people playing zombies, like clawing at him. Anyway,
Very cool.
But it contains the original Night of the Living Dead, the European version of Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the. Oh wait. I'm sorry, I skipped over. Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, Survival of the Dead. And I'm wondering if they have put out Night of the Living Dead 2, Road of the Dead, and Twilight of the Dead. When I put this box set together, they were in the works.
What? No, Night of the Dead, the musical?
Don't laugh. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's now happening. You put that germ out into the atmosphere that are now 2 years from now we're going to be doing a story on off Broadway.
In the backdrop when we were talking about this, about the articles we got coming up tonight, I said there's so many of the Dead movies. We're running out of titles. I'm waiting now for Late Tea Time of the Dead.
It'd be English, of course.
Well, of course, yes.
I always wanted to read that comic, actually. I got the prequel comic. It was Clive Barker's Night of the Living Dead in London, where apparently Clive Barker was doing it as a comic book series, but it was going to be what happened in England during the zombie outbreak.
Yeah.
From Night of the Dead, which I think might have been interesting to read, right? But I don't know. It actually showed how the zombie outbreak spread. You see this woman trying to escape the chaos in America. She gets bit, but then she gets on the plane to England. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? So that's how the comic ended. I wanted to see the rest of that. But we also have... Oh, yeah, there's Sid Haig. Okay. Night of the Animated Dead, I think this is called... This is a Why Does This Exist?
Is it an animated version of The Living
It's
Dead?
animated.
Night of the Living Dead?
It doesn't look good. The animation looks very poor. I'm probably being generous with this. I think this was a quick cash grab. Warner Brothers apparently put this out because I was trying to figure who made this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they got the official rights to make it because this was back in 2020. So I guess now we're out of good old days because I'm now past 2014. But it just looks cheap.
Yeah.
It looks like just a straight up remake. So what's the point? You know what it almost reminds me of? Actually, it almost reminds me of the animatics on those Doctor Who episodes, which I think is fine for Doctor Who. I don't think it works with zombie horror. I don't think that works. But also, what's the point? We have the original Night of the Living Dead, so why do I need this?
I find it. I'm looking at this animation style, and I find it kind of intriguing.
You go watch clips. You're not going to find it intriguing, but your mileage may vary. I'm sure you can get it for $2 now. Okay. I hope Connie Cleary says she hopes she isn't a certain version of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Dude, let's not go there with zombies, man. Oh, are we out of here? Apparently there's another Night of the Living Dead, which I didn't even know about, but I think this is a meta movie, so maybe it doesn't count as a remake. Mimesis Night of the Living Dead, which apparently is about people at a horror convention, and then they end up in Night of the Living Dead.
And I'll tell you what, I think a lot of people in our audience would enjoy. Check out the book, I think it's called Trek of the Dead.
No.
Or Night of the Living Trekkies, I think is what it's called.
Oh, that's funny.
The idea that the zombie outbreak occurs during a Star Trek convention, and people are, turning into zombies while wearing the costumes and stuff.
Funny. It's funny. I did listen to a fan-made radio play that was a Doctor Who Night of the Living Dead crossover, where he ends up at a certain point in human history is like, oh no, this is the zombie outbreak, or the undead outbreak, right? And he's basically arguing, like his companion is arguing, you have to help these people. He says, no, this actually ended up in human history, bringing together a lot of world governments for a common cause. This was actually good for the human race in the long run. But she says people are dying, so he helps them come up with the antivirus or whatever. But
sure.
It was, of course, it was something fans made, but it was interesting to see that. There was an episode of Medium that was an homage to Night of the Living Dead. Remember?
Yep. Yes, I do.
They did that. So it pops up every now and then, but I did this partly for reminiscence and also partly for education about all the many versions of Night of the Living Dead. Because we have another one to talk about later.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
All right, Geeky Geezers. There we are, and now we're going to have to get... Yeah, they're supposedly... Oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about here, deleted scenes.
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
Anyway, unfortunately, we have some in remembrances tonight.
Yeah, this one here, this one's rough. Yeah. They actually all three of them are.
Yeah, it's just hold on. This one is Tom Kane, only 64.
Yeah.
And that's too bad. It really is. Hold on. Let me bring up my notes. There we go. Tom Kane, the iconic voice actor best known for his work on Star Wars and Powerpuff Girls, has died. Zach McGinnis, his rep, tells TMZ Tom died Monday at a hospital in Kansas City, surrounded by family. His cause of death was complications from his 2020 stroke. Zach tells TMZ, though his voice may now be silent, the characters, stories, and love he gave to the world will live on forever. Tom was the voice of Yoda in Star Wars: The Clone Wars,
yes, he was.
film and TV series, and he voiced Professor Utonium on HTM on the Powerpuff Girls, among many more voice performances over the years. He also voiced characters in popular video games, such as the Call of Duty franchise. Zach added, but beyond the incredible career was an extraordinary man. Tom was a devoted husband and father who, alongside his wife, built a loving family of 9 children, 3 biological and 6 welcomed through adoption and fostering.
Yep.
His last Instagram post was with the Powerpuff Girls themselves, showing him smiling as he was reunited with his girls. Tom was 64. This is a real shame. I'm sorry. It's just he brought a lot of joy to people in the world, and now he's no longer with us.
Yep.
But I don't know if you knew of him before this, but I know of his voices definitely. You know.
I knew him from the Star Wars voice work he did.
Deletes. It has been a rough week. Deleted scenes. Yeah. Especially with certain college commencement speeches, but we'll talk about that next week. There was a certain someone that gave. Anyway, Michael Keating, EastEnders, and Blake Seven Star dies, age 79. Wow.
Yeah.
Michael Keating, actor best known for his roles on EastEnders and Blake Seven, has died at age 79. Keating's death has been reported on numerous social media accounts, including Cult Edge, the publisher of multiple Blake Seven books. A post on Cult Edge's account on X said, "So terribly sad to hear reports that we've lost Michael Keating. What a loss and what a wonderful man. He'll be hugely missed. Thoughts are with his family and friends. Rest in peace, Michael, and thank you." Meanwhile, Paul Carmichael, who was behind Sophie Aldred's Ace Odyssey podcast, said on the platform, "So sorry to hear that Michael Keating has died. A fine actor with a wonderful career, including a recurring role on EastEnders. But to me, he will always be the wonderful Vila in Blake Seven.
Yes.
Rest in peace." I'm sure you have some comments on this. Anything?
Let's face it, I know a lot. I've heard a lot about EastEnders because it's touched a lot of British television. I mean, there was even a pseudo Doctor Who EastEnders cross.
I remember.
But I got to say that Vila is absolutely my one of my favorite. I mean, yes, it was called Blake Seven, and I like the character of Blake, Garrett Thomas. Rest in peace for him as well. But Paul Darrow, Avon, is definitely my favorite, but very close second would be Michael Keating's Villa. And unfortunately, all three of them now have passed. My three favorite Blake Seven actors.
Michael Keating was always my favorite.
Yes.
Yes.
Villa weighs 73 kilos.
Well, not anymore.
Well, true.
Well, they used to watch EastEnders. Yeah, I mean, EastEnders was a popular show. They used to have it on. Sometimes they showed it after Doctor Who. Sometimes, as I recall, I think on some channels.
Yes. And
did they?
What was kind of weird was that whole. Well, like I said, that 1980s. What was it? Like the 25th anniversary or something like that. And they did this crossover with all the doctors that they could get to be in it, all the companions they could get to be in it, and an appearance by some of the EastEnders cast. And it's implied, therefore, that EastEnders takes place in the Doctor Who universe, which doesn't quite work when we get into the modern era of Doctor Who, when the Doctor refers to EastEnders as being a show that he has watched and enjoyed. And, of course, in EastEnders, there have been Doctor Who references, so, you know.
Don't do that. I always used to make an idea that in the Marvel universe, the DC should be the comics people read, and in the DC universe, Marvel should be the comics people read.
Yeah.
But of course, never mind. We've had crossovers though. But
it was 93, and it was the 30th anniversary. I was off by 5 years.
I remember now. I got mad at EastEnders because it replaced something I watched. Was it Robin of Sherwood? Was it Doctor Who? I don't know. It might have been one of those shows. But Midsummer Murders. He's been on that too. Everyone who's anyone has been on Midsummer Murders, though. Come on, really.
See, now Troy's going to have to download EastEnders for me so I can watch it.
That's going to be... It's almost as long-running a series as Doctor Who. That's going to be a heck of a...
It's a soap, basically, right? A weekly soap?
Yeah, and honestly, it's been going constantly since 1985. So it's
that's a lot of years.
Still going, yes. I don't know how far back I can go and get it, but...
You could track down the Midsummer Murder episode he was on.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll have to find out. I used to, but rest in peace.
Let me guess, he was the murderer. That would be cool.
No,
I'd love to
not
see
always. Take
okay.
this picture, for example. This is how Midsummer Murders usually goes. There's some local witches in town, or like a little or pagan cult in the town.
Okay.
And then there's the local vicar who's speaking out against the witches or something.
Sure.
And then you think, well, Well, it's got to be the witches. But they think, no, that's too easy. Oh, it's got to be the vicar. He's being overzealous, and he killed one of them for that. And then, of course, then you find out, no, it's neither of them. It's somebody else unrelated to both, unrelated to the conflict. You understand?
Yeah.
That's usually what they would do. But yes, I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of British mysteries. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. All right, moving on to Kevin Michael Doyle, Chicago actor from Untouchables, who became a police officer, dies at age 68.
Yeah.
These people are too young.
Absolutely, absolutely, and especially with this one hits close to home. This was a Chicago boy.
Kevin Michael Doyle began his career as an actor before serving for 20 years as the Chicago police officer stationed in the 18th district on the north side. Stage struck since early childhood, Doyle spent nearly 2 decades pursuing acting as a calling, including Second City, Chicago, for scaling back his acting dreams in favor of steadier work in the police force. I mean, that's an interesting career shift, but something to be proud of, I think.
Oh, absolutely,
Definitely,
absolutely.
Okay. I thought it was me. I thought I missed. Usually they do the retrospective after that. Doyle, 68, died of complications from pancreatic cancer on May 9th.
Yep.
That's a rough one.
It is.
That's a really rough cancer to get. May 9th at his home in West Suburban Wayne, said his daughter Claire Bersani. He had homes in Wayne and in the north and northwest side Mayfair neighborhood. He was born in Chicago in 1957. Doyle grew up in the South Side Scottsdale area in a house on South Coster Avenue that was surrounded by the homes of cops, firefighters, and other city workers. You must be familiar with this stuff, right?
Absolutely. I know the exact area you're talking about.
Kevin is probably the most creative person I have ever met, said Burke, who served with Paul Barrett Doyle Services. He just had a marvelous sense of humor and an unbelievable imagination going back to when we were kids. He was constantly setting up plays and things like that. Yeah, Michael Burke was a retired justice of the Supreme Court of Illinois. He was good friends with him. Burke recalled seeing the 1970 film Patton, probably half a dozen times. He memorized the lines to Patton. He was that type of creative individual. So I guess he really
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, but it's just he worked as a ditch digger.
Yep. Yep.
Look at that, though. But in 1997, he decided to pivot from acting. He took a test to become a Chicago police officer, and he was hired the following year. But prior to that, he was in the film My Best Friend's Wedding and the TV drama ER. Okay, interesting.
Did you know that I had submitted an application to become a police officer?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got passed over once or twice. Was talking with a buddy who was a cop, and he was like, okay, I'll have to hook you up with some people. You need to know somebody. And the more I started looking into it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe I don't want this.
You're worried that you're going to be picking up a certain package full of... No, I'm not going to say anything. Let's not besmirch the Chicago PD.
No, you can't. You can't besmirch the Chicago PD because the reality is worse than anything you can possibly say.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
The fact that our governor is...
Yeah, we have a history of governors going to prison. So, let's be honest.
Or just being a word that I can't say because I'm a lady.
Let's just say that Governor Cheeseburger is not well respected. And there's a reason we call him Governor Cheeseburger.
Is that why Gotham City in modern movies takes excuse from Chicago?
It has become impossible to not compare Gotham City of DC Comics to Chicago of the real world.
So I think originally it was based more in New York, just like Metropolis was, but I think then they decided later on, no, this has to be Chicago.
Yep. Exactly right.
Oh, man. Do you guys know that on the Adventures of Superman TV series on the Metropolis newsstand had Superman comic books in it? What?
Actually, that's not that far-fetched because they've established in comic book lore that there is a Superman comic. It's obviously fictionalized, and there is Superman merch, probably not licensed by Superman, but
They did a scene of that on Batman the Animated Series where he's looking in a store and he sees some Batman dolls, and this is where he was second guessing about his life choices, and he was telling Dr. Leslie Thompson, and she was saying,
Yeah.
he was basically saying, you know what? I think I do more good for the Torres Strait here than I do for the city.
Ah!
He was starting to see when he sees the dolls in the window.
Yeah.
That's where Robin had to give him a talking to later in this episode. He's like, you need a talking to.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I would love to see if it, and we're never going to get anyone actually shepherding the DC properties. But if you're going to do a live action, do something with that where if you're going to introduce a character like Booster Gold, have him come in and try to establish for the Justice League, hey, we need to get a hold of the rights for you guys for marketing. That's how you can finance the Justice League.
Well, I know in the yes. Well, I know in the one Superman movie, he allowed his likeness to go into a weekly cartoon series because he said, I think did the benefits go to charity or something? That's why
Yeah.
he allowed it or something. But
Right.
just governor's other name is Commodore Maximus. Oh, yikes!
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
wow? Is that a real thing?
It's a thing from Star. He's making a Star Trek reference.
Oh, I see. I
You
thought it
remember
was
the
a-
episode Balance of Power?
Okay, I thought it was.
I
A
think that
reference
was.
to
I think that's what it was called. We're getting real close to historical World War II era politics that we can't talk about on this platform.
Right. No, I thought he was referring to a name of a nickname for a Chicago mayor. When he was mentioning that.
Gotcha.
Anyway, but Kevin Michael Doyle, rest in peace. You did a lot of good for society, man, and we'll
Yeah.
miss you. Okay.
A good, yeah. This is one of the good ones. Every time I hear somebody getting out of Hollywood to do something positive, like become a cop, like, oh gee, a certain former Superman, in fact. I think
Exactly.
that is laudable, commendable, and possibly very wise decision. As much as I might say, yeah, being a cop is dangerous. I think being in Hollywood is even more dangerous if you're a good person.
These days, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But rest in peace. Rest in peace to all three. We lost some good ones this week, and
Yeah.
that's too bad.
Okay, we've got 1 hour to wrap up all the rest of the articles today.
What? I can go as long as I want. Deleted scenes can just go with. Oh wait, I'm on a stream tonight. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Your
Atari's-
problem, not mine.
These aren't going to take that long. Atari CEO reveals plans to revitalize retro brand. James Ratcliffe joined Game Rant in 2022 as a gaming news writer. In 2023, James was offered. Oh wait, that's the writer of his. My mistake. Okay, Atari CEO Wade Rosen stated his goal for the company is to learn from previous failures and to embrace retro games as part of the core identity. Wow, it's almost like the head of Atari is saying that Atari is a retro company.
Well,
Is the retro game company, unlike Sega, who is not
Well-
a retro game company. I'm sorry, I have to keep bringing that up. Rosen said that being selective in what games and products to make is a critical part of making Atari a globally recognized retro video game brand, though Atari has changed hands since its incorporation in 1972, quite a few hands actually. It first gained mainstream attention following the launch of the Atari 2600 video game console. While it was one of the first home consoles to achieve commercial success in the West, the Atari 2600 was also responsible for the video game crash of 1983. You remember that, right?
yep,
Is that around the time you said I need a Commodore 64?
pretty much, yeah.
That's pretty much that's where all the kids went. People think, oh, there was a crash and people didn't play games. No, they just went to They went to the Commodore 64. That's where they went. Though Atari continued to make consoles throughout the 80s and 90s, none have ever achieved the same success as the 2600. Following the launch of the ill-fated Atari Jaguar console, Atari shifted its focus to other venues. Last year's collection of classic Mortal Kombat games receives a major... okay, sorry. That was one of theirs from last year. Recently, Atari stepped back into the realm of console gaming via the Atari 7800 Plus and 2600 Plus retro gaming. With 41-year-old CEO Ray Rosen at the helm, Atari will continue embracing its retro roots. In a Bloomberg interview with Jason Schreier, Rosen said that Atari's past failures are learning experiences that the company should use moving forward. Rosen took over as Atari CEO in 2021 and has since transformed the gaming company into a firm that focuses on bringing old school experiences to modern platforms. Despite some initial struggles in his first years with the company, Atari's earnings forecast is trending positive for the first time in many years. Rosen said, "We obviously care about the value of the company and want it to be successful, but the goal is to not make this into something and sell it. The goal is to revitalize Atari and have it be a company that exists in the world and makes people's lives better because it exists in the world, like my life is better because Nintendo is in the world." Like that attitude people used to have toward Nintendo, at least. With companies like Digital Eclipse under its wing, Atari has published titles like the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection for current-gen systems. Despite each of Atari's games being made with smaller development budgets, Rosen stated that Atari must be proactive when selecting a franchise to work on. Rosen said that there must be a sizable demand for a game before starting its development. One such example of a game franchise with a dedicated fans is the Bubsy series. Although Bubsy has not had the success of other platforming games, the orange-furred Bobcat has surged back into the spotlight thanks to Bubsy in the Perfect Collection. With Bubsy 4D set to arrive on May 22nd, Atari and developer Fabraz are embracing the task of making a Bubsy game that will be a hit with the fans. Okay. Are we going to have an Emperor Has No Clothes moment here? Aged Boomer, between sophomore and junior year, the summer of 1993, saved up his piddly allowance, $59.99 plus tax, went down to the local electronics boutique, and picked up Bubsy the Bobcat for the Super Nintendo.
Yep.
It wasn't good. The gaming, I thought it was, I wanted an equivalent to Sonic the Hedgehog on my Super Nintendo, and that was not it. But maybe this Bubsy 40 will take off. But I don't know. I thought this was interesting, though. Other than that, I think they've done some interesting things. Like a lot of these remasters are put up by Atari, like that. Like I think the System Shock games were put out by Atari. I think I know that the Thing remastered was put out by Atari, and they'll even do physical media too. Like they recently re-released the Disney Afternoon Collection for the Nintendo Switch, and you can buy it as a physical edition too. So that's kind of neat. So what do you think? You think Atari is going to be revitalized, man?
I think there is a market for retro games. Whether or not it's going to be revitalized, your guess is good as mine.
Well, there is the 7800 Plus, and I think they are tied to that new Neo Geo AES Plus as well. I don't think they're involved somehow. I don't know to what degree, but I don't know. I have the Atari 2600, the Atari 1500, the Atari 700 home video game consoles. Wallace Lang, if you get a 7800 Plus, you can actually play your old games on this system, and it'll play them on your HD TV if you're so inclined. They are fully backwards compatible with the old system, and they release new games for it too. In fact, the Pac-Man Edition console is actually yellow like Pac-Man, and it even comes with a special edition of Pac-Man for the 7800 that was never actually made back in the day. Fans had made it over the years, and they put it on an actual cartridge. So, and it comes with the system. Not that I'm trying to do Atari's bidding for them, but I mean, but I don't know. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Ghost in the Shell. The major returns this July. How the creators reimagined Ghost in the Shell for new era. I knew this was coming. They're making a new Ghost in the Shell anime series, and it's going to come to Amazon Prime. So I'll read a little bit on this. The future is calling, and it's looking more breathtaking than ever. The upcoming TV anime Ghost in the Shell is officially set to storm screens in July 2026. The series will begin streaming globally on Amazon Prime Video. To celebrate the countdown, the production team has dropped a stunning third key visual and high-octane third promotional video. Along with these visuals, we finally have a deep dive into the story, character bios, and powerhouse staff bringing the division to life. I'll read a little bit from this. The latest visual puts Major Motoko Kusanagi, the full-body cyborg protagonist, front and center. She is flanked by the iconic members of the Public Security Section 9, Batu, Togasa, Ishikawa, Sato, Boma, and Pazu, alongside the AI-equipped think tank Fujikoma. This gorgeous piece was specifically illustrated by Naoto Niito, who serves as the co-chief animation director for the series alongside Shuhei Honda. I think I actually got everyone's names right. That's impressive. Okay. But I watched the new promotional video. I'm a little excited for this. I'm a big Ghost in the Shell fan. This looks like it's going more with the look of the original manga series rather than the more serious tone we saw in the old movies and the standalone Complex anime series, which I'm a huge fan of. But looks like they're just starting. It's another reboot. They did that Scarlett Johansson movie, which, well, we won't talk about it. But you must remember when that came out, right? The controversy.
Yes, I do.
Which I thought was a little silly, but
yes.
Anyway, they're doing a new series, so hopefully Amazon won't blow it. It's hard to tell. It's not being done by the team that did Standalone Complex. That doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It looks like they are trying to go more for, I guess, it seems like a more lighthearted tone than the more serious stuff we've seen before. But that could be more in line with the original manga, which I do have. In fact, I have the original uncut manga, which I know got censored later on because of a certain scene in there that reminds you of a scene from Mulholland Drive. Anyway. Anyway. Which I don't know if I know that they're re-releasing the manga set this summer. Maybe they're reinserting that scene into there, but we'll see. But anyway, Ghost in the Shell. Anyone excited? Anyone? I know I don't talk a lot about anime on the stream, but there are some anime I really like. And of course, this is bully for me this summer. Pat Labor is coming back. Do you know what Pat Labor is? Would you like me to sum it up for you?
Why does that sound familiar to me? I don't know.
I may have talked about it before. I remember one time Netter had a guest on who was big into anime, and I talked about some of my favorite anime with him. Okay, Pat Labor was a series made in the I think late '80s in Japan. It was supposed to take place in the near future of the 1990s. So in the future, people have created these mechs called labors that they use for construction. Larger robots piloted by humans to help with construction. Unfortunately, with the proliferation of labors, people would sometimes steal a labor and go commit a bank robbery or something else. So then the police were forced to make a labor team to go fight the criminals that would use labors for crime. Do you understand? Hence Pat Labor. And this was a funny anime series because, frankly, there were some episodes where nothing would happen. There was one episode, literally, where they're waiting for a call, and it's all them just waiting for a call. Do you understand?
Yeah.
There was another episode that was about them all doing their lunch orders. And I'm serious. It was at a local Chinese restaurant, right? And they're all doing their orders, and they're all ordering their stuff differently. Like, oh no, I'll have the fried rice, but with no peas. Like all the little thing when you do work orders, right? And everyone's taking down the order, and they brought it over to the cook at the restaurant, and the cook of the restaurant said, look, it would be a lot easier for me since there are like 50 of you that work at this facility, because, of course, there are police officers that work the labors, but there's also the engineers that have to fix the machines, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, the chef says, couldn't you just I could make a big batch of something. You could all have that for lunch. And then his boss yelled at him, says, you do what those police officers ask you to make. You know, he was yelling at it. And finally, one day, after one of these complex orders, he snapped. He took all he took all the dishes and left them out for the dogs to eat, stray dogs to eat. And then the guy that owned the restaurant realized his chef had quit and hurriedly remade all the meals, but he put all the food on the plates that had been licked by the dogs, and the whole staff of the police department got sick.
Oh God!
It was supposed to be this big mystery of how did one thing bring down the entire police department, and then that was what it was. Anyway, and then the show deals with other things like terrorism, sometimes even on brief occasion the paranormal. So it was a cool little science fiction show. I enjoyed it a lot, and it's getting a sequel series, which is gotta say it's Pat Labor: The Next Generation. But apparently they did that as a live action series, so this is like the next generation. So here we go.
Yeah.
This is going up to here. Former from Star Trek to Degrassi, many franchises have spun off stories featuring new generations of characters. That's the idea behind Patlabor EZY, the latest in a series of mobile police Patlabor anime and manga franchise that debuted in 1988. The first 3-episode EZY has just been released in theaters as a package subtitled File 1, with the remaining 5 episodes scheduled for August and March 2027, respectively. Patlabor revolves around the large armored robots known as mecha, an 80s anime staple, but unlike most mech series, the show is not about far-flung, high-stakes battles in outer space. Instead, Patlabor imagines a near-future Japan in which giant robots are built for menial tasks like construction work. The occasional misuse of these robots called labors calls for the creation of a division of the police force that uses its own patrol labors or Patlabors to help keep the peace. The brilliance of Patlabor, the brainchild of the creative team called Headgear, almost all of whom reunited for EZY. They're getting the original creators back, that's why I'm excited. Is that its officers are portrayed as regular civil servants, not superheroes. They may occasionally be called on for some mecha action, but the banality of life on the force, filing paperwork, staving off boredom, keeping everyone fed, takes up more of the screen time. So, yeah, but it's kind of neat. I was reading other things, like one of the episodes of this new series is about them imagining what kind of call they're going to, and having like flights of fancy, like fighting off aliens or something. But that's, anyway. The Office Anime Edition, not quite, like it doesn't quote, I don't want to say that because there are comedic episodes of this show. What was funny, though, in the original series, they actually got an American to train with the Patlabors. Her name was Kanika Clancy, who was a Japanese-American from Hawaii, and she was being sent over to Japan to learn how to pilot labor so she could go train the New York City Police Department on them. It was kind of interesting. And then later on, they got an officer from Hong Kong as an intern on the show later, from China. But okay. This is interesting. Stranger Things, Duffer Brothers and Sean Levy donate Eleven's pink dress to the Smithsonian.
Yeah, this was odd, but okay.
Don't you think it belongs in the Smithsonian?
I mean, that's where all the historic junk goes, right?
The Enterprise is in there somewhere, right?
Yes, it is.
I didn't. The one time I went to the Smithsonian, I was looking for it as a kid. I couldn't find it. I was not happy.
Yeah.
I wanted to see it up close. Okay, Stranger Things has marked a lot of firsts for Netflix. It became the first original series to become a global hit and cultural phenomenon, the first series owned by the streamer, and the first title Netflix was able to turn into a licensing bonanza with a slew of consumer product deals. Now the supernatural coming-of-age drama, which wrapped up its 5 seasons run on New Year's Eve, also has become Netflix's first show with a presence at the Smithsonian. It will be represented by Eleven's, played by Millie Bobby Brown, signature outfit built around her iconic pink dress from season 1. Ryan Lintelman, entertainment curator, Smithsonian National Museum of American History, announced a donation at a Netflix FYC event for the series at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery Thursday night, attended by Stranger Things cast and crew, including creators, executive producers, directors Matt and Ross Duffer, director, executive producer Sean Levy, and stars David Harbour, Natalie Dyer, Jamie Campbell Bauer, and Noah Schnapp. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Matt Duffer explained as he, Ross Duffer, and Levy walked on stage to sign the deed of gift. And you can watch the signing video by clicking on the article. Levy has his own history with the Smithsonian, having directed and produced the 2009 feature Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian, starring Ben Stiller. I didn't know that. Okay. But in his speech, Lintelman noted that Stranger Things told a compelling and complex story with themes that resonate now and will stand the test of time. The deeply American skepticism of authority and established wisdom, especially by federal government and unethical activities in the pursuit of science and security, before ad-libbing almost unapologetically about his own status of a federal government representative to a big laugh to the audience. Oh, that's funny. Okay. But anyway, it's kind of neat, huh?
Yeah.
What does the chat think, huh? One would think the dress would be in some film history museum. Well, they gave it to the Smithsonian. They could probably give a different outfit to the. I don't know, what was she wearing in season 2?
I don't remember.
All right. All right. Moving on. X-Files, I Want to Believe. Oh, wait.
This one's yours.
Why are you making a grunting noise? This is Disney Plus. Okay, so X-Files, I Want to Believe. Do you know the history of this movie? Do you know what this is?
Not really, no. I heard there was a not very well received sequel, so.
Okay, the naysayers of the sequel, in my opinion, were wrong. I think what it is it's one of their Monster of the Week episodes they did as a feature. I don't have a problem with them doing that. I didn't think it was a bad film. I don't quite know what people were expecting out of it. It did badly because it came out 1 week after a movie called The Dark Knight. So, but it was interesting. You kind of get to follow up what Fox Mulder was up to. He was basically stuck. What was it? He was basically, he had been fired from the FBI at the end of the original series. He'd been put on trial and kicked out of the FBI. And then an FBI agent comes and says, "I need your help," and he's not in the mood, right? Because he's living with Agent Scully, who I think went on to do a who was she? Was she a pediatrician or something? I think she became a private practice doctor later on. But yeah, but there's a director's cut coming out for those of you who want to give this another chance. It's been nearly 20 years since it released The X-Files, I Want to Believe, with the 2008 movie serving as the second and last feature film based on the series. Directed by series creator Chris Carter, I Want to Believe finds Mulder and Scully called back by the FBI when a former priest claims to be receiving psychic visions pertaining to a kidnapped agent. The idea was for The X-Files, I Want to Believe, to essentially be a feature-length Monster of the Week tale, and it came about 10 years after the original X-Files movie. Unfortunately, while the 1998 movie scared up $189 million at the global box office, I Want to Believe ended its run with just $69 million, and the franchise later returned to the small screen in its wake. The eventual physical media of The X-Files, I Want to Believe, included a few minutes of new footage not seen in theatrical release, but that's not the true director's cut. Well, now they tell me. Chris Carter has been teasing in recent years that he's working on a brand new director's cut for I Want to Believe, and it looks like that cut may be quietly arriving on Disney Plus this June. A press release from Disney Plus that previews the new titles arriving to the streaming service in June 2026 includes the following title for the premiere on Thursday, June 11, 2026. The X-Files, I Want to Believe Director's Cut bonus feature. I have a question.
Okay.
If I own the digital copy of this on my Movies Anywhere account, will they also give this to me?
I don't know.
Or will they just replace it?
Well, this is why you say own physical media, right? Anyway,
Yes.
The best source of information for what this might be is an interview with Chris Carter on the Fail Better with David Duchovny podcast from last year. That's where Carter detailed the new director's cut that he was working on at the time, which teased as being the scary movie that he had originally intended The X-Files I Want to Believe to be. Carter detailed, "I just got the go-ahead to do a director's cut of I Want to Believe. I can't tell you how excited I am about this. I made it too scary, basically, and was told by the brass at Fox, and they wanted a PG-13 movie. So we cut it back to be a PG-13 movie, and we thought, okay, we've satisfied their demands. The critics, the people who rate the movie, said, no, it's not a PG-13 movie until you cut back even further. I can tell you, I can tell you that you can do even more on network television. The censors are more permissive than they are for movies. Isn't that interesting? Now I have a chance to go back and make the scary movie that I always intended to make," Carter explained last year. "It's not just doing a director's cut to do a director's cut. It's really kind of bringing to life something that for me was on the page and never got to see the screen." Okay. As for why Disney Plus lists this as a director's cut as a bonus feature, our assumption is the new cut of the movie will be included as a bonus feature for the theatrical cut of The X-Files I Want to Believe within the app. That's why I'm curious if I'm going to have access to this, because I own the digital copy of it. But probably not, right?
Well.
Let me see. The X-Files, I want to believe, is a 20th Century Fox Studios property, and that is Chris Carter's technically is an advisor on it. Okay. Well, the director's cut be rated R. The subject matter gets dark. Although it's dark because the priest receiving the visions is kind of a defrocked priest because he did bad things. A certain scandal, if you know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
why Scully wants no dealings with him because she does not like that. Geek Flag says next time in the Smithsonian Museum, go downstairs, you'll see the original Enterprise. Okay, well I didn't go to the basement. That thing is huge. Have you ever been to the Smithsonian?
I have not. No.
Okay, it's huge. Okay, moving on to 17 seconds, 17 years, 17 million viewers. Rousey defeats Carano in Netflix spectacle. This was the big Ronda Rousey fight.
Yes. Yes. Very disappointing.
Oh well, Netflix scored one of its biggest fights nights over the weekend for what was just a 17-second victory. Over 17 million viewers tuned in to watch Ronda Rousey defeat Gina Carano in the first round, according to Deadline. In the United States, the fight averaged 9.3 million viewers, which spiked to 11.6 million when Rousey and Carano stepped into the octagon. Rousey wasted no time as she immediately went after Carano. The two were on the mat within seconds. Carano tried to put Rousey in a guillotine choke, but Rousey escaped, and once she did, she knew she had to strike. The former UFC champion put Carano in an armbar, and the fight was over just seconds after. The two shook hands and embraced afterwards. Carano reflected on the career, saying, "Getting here after 17 years is a victory," per Netflix. "This is one of the best rides of my life. I felt locked in fight. I felt locked in fight night. No fear, just focus, positive adrenaline." She added on Instagram after the night was over, "Love to my team. My heart is heavy. I wanted to throw, battle, win, but I kicked when I should have moved, and that was down and done. If I hadn't tapped, she would have broken my arm as it had begun to crackle," Carano revealed.
Ooh.
The disappointment of losing like that is very humbling. Luckily, Johnny Jones and Cain Velasquez came up to her after the round to give her mindset, or get her mindset right again. John said, "You haven't fought in 17 years. Do you know how big your balls have to be to get back in there after that long? Did you set some sort of record or something? Respect. That's exactly what I needed to hear from the best to ever do it," Carano expressed with a laughing emoji. Rousey took to social media to share how she felt about the matchup. "Me and Gina literally fought to fight each other. I kept hearing people say, 'She's not serious, she can't lose the weight.' But I didn't just want to come back and fight. I had to come back to fight her," she shared. "The story we could tell together was one I desperately needed to believe, and you're never too lost to rise again, and your body is never too far gone to reclaim, and that it's never too late to be better than you've ever been." The fight certainly drew numbers on Netflix. The event was up quite a bit from the 6 million live viewers from the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano rematch managed last summer. Here, I'm going to put a positive spin on this. I think that both of these athletes treat each other with respect during this
Oh,
match.
absolutely.
That was good.
No doubt about
and,
that.
And, there wasn't any nasty trash talking. I mean, so it was, it's sad that it had to be over so quickly for Gina Carano. But look, she got back into shape for this. I mean,
Oh, she sure did. I've
Yes.
seen some pictures online. It was just freaking amazing.
Good for her. And I hope we see her in movies again. That's what I really want to see.
Oh, absolutely.
And, it'd be cool to see her in stuff again, even if it's like action pictures. I would like to see that. Can't speak to that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, 17 seconds though. But that's how fights end sometimes. Remember the Mike Tyson Lennox Lewis fight? Which I went over to a friend's house who paid for the pay-per-view, and that was over in like a minute. It's like Gina lost over 100 pounds. She won already. I agree, Lynn Green. Let's be honest with you. She was probably depressed after that whole cancellation she suffered, so good for her. Any more thoughts on this?
Nope.
All right, let's move on.
I just feel bad for her.
Oh, Babylon 5 creators' epic new sci-fi thriller is officially happening. I'm not going to spend too much on this, but apparently they're making Straczynski's comic book series, which is hold on a sec. Yeah, it's greenlight. I'm sorry about that. I lost my space here for a second. Hold on. Earlier the show's the next LinkedIn. Okay, Liminal. Apple TV's Liminal is based on the graphic novel Telepaths. That's what it's called, by J. Michael Straczynski, who is also famous for his work on Babylon 5. While plot details about the film are being kept under wraps, if it's anything like the book, it will be set in an alternate future where 10% of the world's population gains telepathic abilities due to an electromagnetic pulse. This leads the Boston Police Department to clash with the new faction born out of those with supernatural abilities. With a strong cast, director, and writer, the film has the potential to be an Apple TV's next big sci-fi feature film like The Gorge. Oh, this is the film. Okay, for some reason I thought it was a series, but yeah. Were you a fan of this comic book? Did you read it, Telepaths?
I never did. No.
Okay, but the article threw me off because it had Ivanova on the cover.
Exactly. Yeah.
She was technically a telepath.
It's yeah. It's a little bit clickbaity in a way.
Yeah. But I was just thinking recently, though, how much I miss Babylon 5.
That was a good series.
It was.
I miss. You know what I miss? I miss the Techno Mages.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Ridiculous concept, and I didn't care because it's like, cool, we have wizards on this show. We have mages on, even though they're using science to make their stuff, right? Or we think that's what they do, at least. Maybe there is still some mysticism, and I never even heard of it. Never was interested in Babylon 5. You need to check it out, Wallace. You'll realize it holds up better than you might think.
That's the one with Stephen First, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For no other reason, watch it for him.
Yeah.
It's
was he Londo?
No. He was Londo's.
That's right.
Lear.
Yeah. Right.
Veer. Yeah.
Veer. I used to love that show though back in the day, and I even like Crusade, even though it was short-lived. Ivanova is a hottie. Yeah. She has some interesting memoirs if you want to read about her life in Hollywood. Actually. Anyway, Veer. I remember Veer. Okay, let's get back to our tie-in. Here are our Living Dead articles now. You like that poster, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Night of Living Dead poster spotlights Vivica A. Fox and new Barbara in Romero remake. A new take on George Romero's 1968 zombie masterpiece is on the way with Night of the Living Dead from ITN Distribution, and the official poster has been unleashed this week. Vivica A. Fox, you remember her from Kill Bill, right?
I guess.
Stars. She was the one that fought Uma Thurman in the first scene. Anyway, stars in this version of Night of the Living Dead, which was directed by Christopher Ray. You can find both the trailer and the poster. Well, you can see the poster art right there. But,
excuse me. Yeah.
The trailer, I don't know, man.
Well, I see from this poster that Dee Wallace is in it, so at least there's something.
Part of me is wondering, did they gender swap Ben, or is she just playing a different character? That's what I'm wondering. It's like,
I got to be honest at this point.
At this point, we don't.
Honestly,
know.
I look at this. My first thought was, is this one of those adult parodies?
It kind of looks like one. That is not a good-looking poster.
No.
The movie looks kind of cheap. In fact, I'm wondering if it's one of these things where, anyone can make their own version of Night of the Living Dead, or official licensing is so cheap now after Romero died.
Yeah.
I don't know. Brittany Underwood plays Barbara in the new Night of the Living Dead, the iconic character played by Judith O'Dea in George Romero's black and white zombie classic. Night of the Living Dead 2026 takes place during a worldwide event in which the dead rise and roam the earth as zombies. As civilization collapses, a small group of survivors must fight to stay alive amongst the growing threat of the Walking Dead. The full cast includes familiar faces. The late Robert Carradine, remember him from Revenge of the Nerds?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Michael Hughes from Pet Sematary, Zach Ward, A Christmas Story, Robert Van Dam, pro wrestler, Adam Huss, Vivica A. Fox, Brittany Underwood. No word on the film's release date from ITN, so we'll have to stay tuned. So, Geek Fly. She's the new Ben. Get used to it. Her name's Bennifer. I don't know.
Bennifer.
I mean, I like Vivica A. Fox. I don't know why. has her career taken a slump that she's in this? I don't know. Because like I liked her in Kill Bill. She would show up on the show Alias too. Wasn't Stephen First supposed to be the brother of John? Oh wait, I'm thinking of something else. Okay, sorry. Night of the Living Girl Boss. You think that's what it's going to be?
Possibly.
You thought Barbara was a girl boss in the 1990 remake. Wait till you see her.
If they make Ben into a woman, does that mean they can't kill Ben at the end?
I don't know. I don't know why she's dressed like that. Is that like a security outfit or something? Does she work security? It's just I don't know. I watched the trailer for this. I'm just kind of I don't know why this exists. I'm gonna be honest with you. Make your own zombie movie. Just do that. You don't gotta throw Night of the Living Dead on it. I don't know. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised, huh? Ned, are you interested? A little bit?
No.
Yeah.
What about you, Troy?
No, not at all.
Well, hard to believe the same sex actress from ID4. Oh, that's right. She was in Independence Day. She was Will Smith's the go-go dancer girlfriend. I'm being funny or something. This year's War of the Worlds, possibly. How bad was that War of the Worlds from last year? Did you hear about that?
I saw some of it. I couldn't watch it all. It was terrible. It was just really terrible. So many things I didn't like about it.
Anyway, I brought this up, though, because we have yet another version of Night of the Living Dead. Huh?
Yeah.
Yay.
Maybe we'll get Night of the Living Dead Karen. Where it's like, how about Amityville meets Night of the Living Dead, huh? People are escaping the zombies and they run to the Amityville house for shelter.
Yeah.
Frankenstein meets Night of the Living Dead,
Oh, please. He'd probably be on the zombie side. Anyway, what do you think, though? Amityville, Night of the Living Dead crossover? Huh?
I'm not even sure how those would work. Yeah.
No, they're trying to escape from the zombies, so they hide in the Amityville house and they start boarding them up, and then they start hearing the voice "Get out!" and they where do you go? Do you go out to the zombie horde? Or do you stay in the haunted house? Huh? Darn it!
What happens to the zombies that get inside?
Maybe they get possessed, like the. Go ahead. Sorry.
And then they have to contend with Jody because
Well, yeah, exactly.
Jody doesn't like George.
Yeah.
I guess in this case it'd be Bob because he was from Day of the Dead, right? The zombie Bob. I don't know, man. You got the shovel there. Just let's move on, okay? Did you know that there was a Night of the Living Dead audio production too?
Kind of doesn't surprise me.
It wasn't good. I got it on tape. The daughter zombies talks to the mother, which I thought was weird. Why is she talking? She's a zombie. Rebirth of the Living Dead. So John Russo.
Uh-huh.
Remember how we said that the Living Dead movies branched out from each other, right?
Right, exactly.
So the 1980s horror comedy The Return of the Living Dead originally began its life as a novel penned by original Night of the Living Dead co-writer John A. Russo, serving as Russo's own sequel to Romero classic. Dan O'Banion's movie ended up becoming a very different experience altogether, but now, because Dan O'Banion said, I want to do it as a comedy because I don't want to do what Romero's done. But now Russo's original source novel is getting a movie sequel. So I guess they're not adapting his novel. They're just doing a sequel to his novel.
This is going to be a sequel to... Is this going to be a sequel to Return of the Living Dead, but not Return of the Living Dead 2? Is that what this is?
It's going to be a sequel to the Return of the Living Dead novel, of which the Return of the Living Dead movie was based, but not really because it got changed. So this is not a follow-up to the Return of the Living Dead movie. This is called Rebirth of the Living Dead. All right?
Interesting.
And it's a sequel to his novel, which nobody read. I'm sorry. No, maybe people did.
I know, right?
Because I would think, why don't they just redo that novel if it's that good? Okay, so... Right. Bloody Disgusting has learned this week that John A. Russell will return to the world of Living Dead as producer of the upcoming horror movie Rebirth of the Living Dead. Production is officially underway on Rebirth of the Living Dead, a new independent horror movie, serving as a direct sequel to the 1978 Return of the Living Dead by legendary author of Night of the Living Dead co-writer John A. Russo. Described as a brutal continuation of Russo's original undead mythology, Rebirth of the Living Dead aims to blend the iconic style and pacing of the original classic with a gruesome twist while honoring the legacy of one of horror's most influential creators. Here's the synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
The newest drug on the streets is trioxin trash, and it's turning users into brain-hungry members of the living dead. This direct feature film follows up to Russo's original 1978, follows a young couple who are attacked in the woods and seek help from an outcast scientist who uses pain therapy to ward off hunger. The film was being directed by Dustin Ferguson, director of Seed Legacy, for SoCal Cinema Studios. The cast includes Nathan Bexton, Nowhere Go, Barbara Mangolfi from the Suspiria, I'm assuming this is the Suspiria remake, and Brink Stevens, The Slumber Party Massacre, along with Michael Bauer of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers fame, Jennifer Moriarty, Spider Baby, and Dietrich Throw of The Lords of Acid. Have you heard of any of these people?
No.
No.
Okay. Rebirth of the Living Dead is set for release on October 1st, 2026. The film is currently around 50% complete, and the team is raising finishing funds from fans through Indiegogo. Wait a minute. How can it be released when they don't even have the funds secured yet?
I don't know.
Apparently this is an AI-generated poster, too. What do you think, huh?
I mean, it's a good poster. I mean...
She looks like Melissa Sue Anderson.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
from Little House on the
No.
Prairie?
You know who she really looks like? Yeah, she does. You're right. I was also thinking Felicity. Before the haircut.
Yeah.
Are you on board with this? I don't know what that means. Are you on board with this or not, Steven?
Yeah. I think
remember
we broke him.
Trioxin was in Return of the Living Dead movies. Remember that? It was the trioxin that they ended up... Didn't they do one Return of the Living Dead movie? They had like 100 of them, right? And one took place at a rave party where people were using the trioxin as like a version of like speed or something.
Yeah.
I didn't watch. Yeah, I think it was called Return of the Living Dead Rave to the Grave, if I remember correctly. I think Return of the Living Dead is like Hellraiser, where people just started slapping Hellraiser on anything, right? And just okay. Anyway, we'll keep appraised of this one, all right? And Kate Beckinsale to star in Twilight of the Dead movie, North American deal in the bag from Cannes Market. So, do you know what this is?
I hadn't heard about it before you sent this to me.
I heard the title Twilight of the Dead years ago, that this was a quote-unquote title for Romero's final Living Dead movie, but that movie became what we call Land of the Dead.
Gotcha.
So, let's move on. So, Underworld star Kate Beckinsale has been set to lead Twilight of the Dead, the long gestating quote-unquote final chapter of George Ray Romero's classic zombie saga. Question: how could it become the final chapter of George Romero's classic zombie saga when George Romero is deceased? The horror project, which has a buy-in from the Romero estate, has recently undergone a facelift with new cast, director, and financiers. Beckinsale takes over from Mia Jovovich. Additional casting is in process. Okay, so we heard that Mia Jovovich was going to be cast. Also some Walking Dead alum. I guess they're all out. Okay, the film will be set on a decimated Earth where the last vestiges of humanity are trapped between warring factions and an evolving undead threat. The Paz brothers, Doran and Yoav Paz, whose movies include The Golem and Plan A, have been tapped in to direct the movie, taking over from Brad Anderson. Stutz vet Ho Sung Pak of Bullet Train fame is on board to direct stunt and action sequences. Also new to the project and giving it fresh impetus is Bob Yaris's Magenta Light Studios, which has secured the North American rights and is due to distribute the film in theaters across the United States and Canada. Horror icon Romero had written a treatment for the final movie before he passed in 2017 and regarded Twilight of the Dead as the conclusion to his epic saga, which comprised 6 movies and various spin-offs and remakes. The last movie of the franchise came out in 2009. Twilight of the Dead was first revealed in 2021. The producers previously told us they haven't closed on the door on the possibility of additional movie in the new franchise should this new one go well. Well, then it's not the final movie in the franchise. The film is driven by the Roundtable Entertainment team led by producers John Baldacci and Sarah Donnelly, with executive producer and Roundtable president Dominic Iano, and in partnership with Suzanne Romero. What do you think, Kate Beckinsale?
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but there's also, and I didn't see this until just tonight. Joe Blow has an article about Twilight of the Dead. George Nicotero says George A. Romero's zombie project is looking to secure the rest of its financing. So I would be a little bit concerned about that. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the chat.
I must have missed that one.
So let's see what happens. Maybe adding Kate Beckinsale is all they need to get the rest of the financing.
Is she the box office draw she used to be, though? She was in those Underworld movies.
Yeah, I don't know.
She was the vampire Celine, right? Remember those?
Right. Yep.
Which was, I guess, as close as you're going to get to the Vampire Masquerade movies, right? Were those movies, but maybe not. Okay. This sounds like another Mia Jovovich Resident Evil garbage movie. I will defend the the Mia Jovovich Resident Evil movies. I don't care. They got interesting as they went along. Anyway, was she ever a big box office star? She was in the Underworld movies. You know, the Lycans versus the vampires?
Yep.
Whoever wins gets to eat the human race? Oh, wait. You know, that was the... Why do vampires not like werewolves anyway?
Well, I mean, competition for resources.
I guess so,
there's
yes.
that. But there's also the fact that they operate on very different, I mean, there's an actual very interesting explanation within the Worlds of Darkness from White Wolf. The idea that there is this masquerade that vampires are very careful to protect the idea that vampires are fictional, because that whole Inquisition thing that almost completely wiped them out, they don't want that happening again. And werewolves being uncivilized, shall we say. It can't be reasoned with. If people start believing, well, we know werewolves are real, maybe vampires are too.
Yeah. I guess so. Okay, so they'll start putting two and two together.
Yeah.
Was it revealed on Doctor Who that leprechauns existed?
Well, there's always like an alien like explanation for everything. So yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, maybe this will be. Maybe this will never see the light of day. So why did I report on it? Okay, I didn't realize that the marketing was so. They've been acting like this thing's a sure thing.
Yeah.
Did you watch Survival of the Dead, his last movie?
Survival of the Dead.
The one on the island with the warring families. I didn't care for that one.
I don't think I have it. Oh, okay. Yes, I do. Survival of the Dead. I do have it. I did not like it, no.
Okay, I didn't care for that one. I thought Diary... people hated Diary, but I thought Diary was fine. It was a found footage zombie movie. That's how I saw it, you know.
Yeah, I do have it. Yep.
Okay, but it was fine. Okay.
Land of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. So, yeah. There you go.
That's it for tonight's sad evening. Okay. Anyway... I'm sorry, man. The entertainment reporting, I go on Variety, there's nothing there, and they're talking about conflicts in the Middle East. Like, you're an entertainment news site. What is going on in Hollywood right now? And I don't care about the last episode of The Late Show. I just don't care. I'm not reporting on it, okay?
Agreed.
Let's see. But I suppose next week we'll talk about how Mandalorian and Grogu did. Underworld 2003 production budget, $22 million. Domestic box office, $52 million. See, that was normal. That's how movies used to be. They didn't cost an arm and
Right.
a leg to make,
Right,
and
right.
it made more than double its money back, and that's how they made money.
Yeah.
The writer of those, he did his own take on Frankenstein too. Did you see I, Frankenstein?
Is that the one that was based on the Dean Koontz book?
I don't know. Maybe it basically what it was there's a conflict between demons and gargoyles. Gargoyles basically being angels from heaven, I think, and they were both fighting over Frankenstein because he could be the key to winning the conflict between good and evil, between heaven and hell, basically. And it was. Does that ring a bell to you at all?
Okay, yeah, no, that's something different. Yeah, okay.
Okay. The demons wanted him because they realized since he doesn't have a soul, if they create more like him, they could just inhabit those bodies and walk around the earth, basically. That's their big plan.
Gotcha.
Okay, I don't know. So, what was your favorite article tonight? It was that Night of the Living Dead remake, wasn't it? Huh?
Oh, God.
Or maybe the Return of the Living Dead sequel to the book? Is that even still in print? Can I read that book? With the trioxin that they made into a comedy when they did the movie version. Never mind. Okay. You can catch me on deleted scenes in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you are on my channel or Netter's channel, you will be auto-dramatically teleported over there when this stream ends. If you are listening to us at all, make sure you are subscribed to Aged Boomer, because it is a sin that he has not gotten to 500 subscribers yet. Guys, got to make this happen.
Subscribe.
He needs 125 more.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's totally doable.
Do it, people. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Use your alternate IDs to sub if you haven't already.
Nate says, sitcom, Friends of the Living Dead. I'll be dead for you. Whoop, my hand fell off.
They should have done an episode of Friends that was that. They had like a spoof
Right.
episode for Halloween. That would have been funny.
Awesome. Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother in the Graveyard.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just King of the Living Dead. That should be the title. Anyway.
Is that like King of Queens, King of the Living Dead?
Oh, funny. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Okay. Kevin James. Kevin James should be in a zombie movie, period. That should just happen.
It would have to be a comedy. Right?
Yeah, well, they've done comedies. They did Zombieland. If they do another Zombieland, throw Kevin James in there.
Paul Blart, Zombie Killer.
Paul Blart Zombie in the shopping mall.
Yes. Oh, God. Would that not be awesome?
You hear
Come
what I'm
on,
saying?
Hollywood, get to it.
Zombie Matters. Yes, Zombie
Yeah.
Matters. Okay. All right. Anyway, I got to kick out. You're going to be able to catch me on deleted scenes. We're going to be talking about our love of the service Shudder.
Yep.
The streaming service Shudder. Okay.
I'll be there.
All right, man.
I'll be there for
Yes, I guess we
On that
will.
note, let me end the stream and end it properly. Hold on. Okay. Go up here, click the end.
No, if you hit end, you end it. You want to hit outro.
Outro. Okay.
Yep.
Outro is here.
There you go.